I've been at the college for 9 years, and I got involved in research probably 7 years ago, where I carried out research looking at giving feedback to students without giving them marks or grades. And that research got me interested in academic reading. I was able to produce an article for college that I shared to staff. And to me, that was almost the beginning of my obsession with assessing students and supporting students. And that sort of led on now. For every year, I've tried different things.
So what I wanted to achieve by this project was to increase the amount of geography fieldwork that takes place, in particular that takes place in our school grounds. As a geographer, I truly believe in learning in the outdoors, and I feel that no experience is like the real experience, and it's not about what you learn, it's about where you learn it. So I wanted to create more memorable experiences for students by increasing the amount of fieldwork that takes place, but that takes place in our school grounds.
I decided to do this particular project because I'd noticed in a lot of my lessons that particularly towards the end of the lesson when students were reflecting on their work, that they often switched off a little bit at that point. Their language, their use of musical language deteriorated, and they weren't having the same sort of engagement with that part of the lesson as they had been during the rest of the lesson. So I decided to have a look at ways in which I could improve that, to hopefully improve their musical language and also to improve their skills of reflection as well.
I think engaging in research helped us because I looked at the wider view, because although I knew about behaviour and the impact on the learning, when I looked at it further, it wasn't about the behaviour, as in the actual children's behaviour. It was about how their self-esteem, how they saw themselves as learners. So where they had a negative view on it, that's what impacted the behaviour. We started doing small bits with them, working together, collaborative learning, peer assessment, and all the things that would give them the behaviour for learning. Being respectful of somebody else's work, saying to them we like it, however it could be improved here, and saying it in a way that would keep both sets of children's self-esteem if they were feeding back to each other.
I'm David Herring. I'm one of 22 maths teachers at Farnborough Sixth Form College. 2 years ago, I was asked to get involved with practitioner inquirer to look at doing research in my teaching, and a facet of that intrigued me was peer teaching, so getting the students to teach each other in the classroom. So I spent a year researching that in my classrooms whilst I was teaching the lessons.
Well, Beth and I have both started teaching coming from an industry background, and we went into science teaching and we saw the methodologies that were being done in a science classroom when we found that they were quite traditional in their way and very, very different to industry. So our project we took as our innovation project we took to be taking our experience from industry and decided that we needed to revamp how science is taught in the classroom, and in bringing in a lot more ICT, which is what industry is actually heavily reliant on.
The main aim of our project was to try and increase the amount of higher level thinking in lessons across the school. And we decided to use creativity, being the top of Bloom's taxonomy, as a vehicle for doing that. So we were developing techniques in lessons to promote creative thinking, training up teachers and training up pupils.
So I've looked at the concept of gamification, how we can use that to really promote those kids to push the top sort of levels. Not to neglect the sort of lower levels, the sort of stuff where they've got to learn how to do the stuff, but to appreciate that learning and understanding is a process, and they need to start at the bottom and work their way through, but really try and encourage and incentivise them to really reach out to those top levels.
This year I've been doing a practitioner inquiry project about support and intervention. I started with a real problem in my own department, which was students underachieving in their first exam, and the project developed from there. At first I focused on students who were really at risk and looking at ways of intervening with them, but through talking to the students I changed direction a bit, and that's one of the joys of the practitioner inquiry.